He seems to be in much better condition, besides a couple of scars on his neck, which is not uncommon for a male giraffe. They normally have got scars on the front of their legs, down their necks, sometimes across their face, and if you're very unlucky, you can lose your eye, like we saw with that beautiful giant the other day who comes around here. Now, the giraffe is hiding behind an acacia tree at the moment, but I'm not surprised. If I was a giraffe, I'd have my head into all the acacias eating away, because it is their favorite food. And giraffe are the largest pollinators of the acacia trees. Can you believe that? Now, I want to draw your attention away for 2 seconds. Can we go to the bottom right foot of the giraffe, where it's just stood away, but if you just go a little bit to the right, there's 2 birds. A little bit further right, there's 2 birds dust bathing. Who do we have there? Let's see, Carter. We have got red-billed oxpeckers. Have you got red-billed oxpeckers on your list? Anybody else that has just started to? You can add them. Now, they were obviously sitting on the giraffe. That one looks like a juvenile still. And they've taken a break from feeding on the ticks and the tick larvae to sort of, well, take care of the parasites that could possibly be feeding on them too. And often birds have got lice and different types of mites too. So it is important that they have a dust bath. And birds are very clean. They're actually quite meticulous when it comes to preening their feathers. So after a dust bath like this, obviously it's going to suffocate all the various parasites. And then they will go through and clean their feathers. How funny is that though? They left their dust bath because their giraffe, well, their meal was walking away from them, so they didn't want to get left behind. Right, we'll try and get another view of this beautiful, gracious giant. Let's go across to Jamie, who's surrounded by antelope.
Every now and again we get a species that you see on Djuma and a species that you see up here, and they look so completely different. And okay, these are the Waterbucks. They're not the same as the that you see in Djuma. They don't have, they just have fluffy white bottom. I need you to make an argument for me. Not an argument, a discussion. Different. They do. Darker and red to them. Might.
So we're still with our friend the giraffe there. Sorry about that. In Kenya, sometimes we do have technical difficulties. The gremlins are out and about, but you're back with us. And of course, this beautiful beast. I'm actually going to sit quietly because I want you to listen as he strips the leaves off of this bush willow. It's actually quite lovely. Isn't that cool? He's using a different technique. Rather than wrapping his entire tongue around the branch, he's doing it a little bit. He sort of just bites onto it and then pulls left or pulls right, depending on which direction the leaves are growing, and stripping them off that way. Now that's a much easier technique than what he would have been doing feeding around on the acacias. Typically with the acacias, they'll often try and avoid the prickles and just bite off very carefully all the lovely new sweet leaves. Otherwise, the acacia thorns are hollow. Not on the nigrescens, so not on the knob thorn. It's slightly different, but the rest of the acacia species that we get out here, those thorns are nice and hollow, and they're quite flexible too. So they can use their tongue, and as long as they go, with the grain and not against it, they won't get a prickly prick in their tongue. They'll be all right. It's nice and tough, but not using that technique at all. Now, I don't know how long it had actually been feeding on that acacia for, but they do have to move away from those trees fairly quickly. Anything that's got high tannin content. And it's amazing. This giraffe is feeding into the wind. I always say this. I would love to know who figured out that giraffes predominantly feed into the wind. I think that's just an amazing discovery to figure something like that. I think it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and I couldn't imagine how many hours of time spent that particular scientists would have had to almost live with a giraffe to come up with something like that. So I think that that's quite fascinating. But it's loving this bush willow at the moment, and there are many different animals that are going to start to feed on it. We're seeing the elephants browsing heavily on the bush willows. They love to eat the bark on the bush willows too, but also the parrots and things will feed on the seeds. And Kathy, you were wondering if there's a reason why we don't see a lot of giraffe. Well, Kathy, down in the southern sands, I actually used to see a whole bunch. But over there were quite a few more acacia species. There were a lot of acacia tortillas. So I was actually talking about this the other day. And just the various acacia species seem to be a bit more prominent. Whether it's got to do with soil type, probably that's exactly the reason. So down there we would see giraffe almost every single day, and in rather large groups as well. Same thing down in the Eastern Cape. I think the biggest herd of giraffe I ever saw together was between easy 20 and 40 giraffe. And they're always moving along the acacia belts. So I think they go wherever their favorite food is. But coming into the winter months, they aren't particularly picky about what they're eating. They're sort of just got to take what they can when they can. And that's with all the animals. So all the good stuff gets eaten first. And then the unfavorable plants get left to the end. And that's what he's doing now, feeding on all the bush willows. I'm not a particular fan of a bush willow leaf. I don't think it has got any nice flavor. There's the oxpeckers just landing on its back again. I wonder if they're the same two that had the dust bath earlier. But that's lovely, lovely light. And he's a mature boy, this giraffe. He's not young, and you can tell that straight away just by his beautiful color. Isn't he lovely and dark? Look at those patches on his body. Those oxpeckers I think it is the same oxpeckers. They do look fairly dusty, don't they? They don't look as bright as what they normally are. And he is so relaxed. Sometimes you take a gamble with giraffes. Sometimes they're so relaxed and they don't mind the cars and they walk right past you. Other times they sort of dart off and move straight into the thicket. All right, let's reposition. We'll go around and watch him walk across the road. He's walking right out in the open, which is really nice. Hello, boy. There he is. Now, Karsten from Denmark, you're wondering if it's true that giraffe are mute. Well, they've done an autopsy on a giraffe where they actually opened up the voice box, and there was no vocal cords. So I've never really heard them make any other noises than snorts and grunts. Other than that, I think they don't make too many noises. I've heard people say that they whistle. I've never heard a giraffe whistle my whole life, but again, I could maybe just be missing it. And then the last thing is that they did a recent study and they said that giraffe actually hum, which was a very interesting article. And this was all done at night, so that's quite amazing. But just before he disappears, let's take another look at him, because he is going to go into a thicket now where there's a whole lot of guarries. So it might be difficult to follow him. And because he is a giraffe, and we aren't able to off-road for him, so luckily he is tall, but you can see there's some massive guarri trees in there. It's actually very nice. I need to take note of this, because I'm going to come here to eat all the guarri fruit then. Something's caught his attention. He stopped, he's listening. Giraffe are exceptionally observant. They often spot predators before any of the other animals. Obviously zebra and impala have also got very, very good eyesight. He's just taking a little breather. Maybe it's because he's finally found a shady spot and he's getting annoyed with the oxpeckers. It's difficult for giraffe to find shade, especially coming into the winter months when most of the taller trees lose their leaves and become completely bare. No, there he goes. So probably not anything. And if there was a predator, a leopard or a lion or even a jackal or something just laying off to the road, he would have drawn his attention straight there. And that's when I've heard them make a strange noise before. I don't know how to describe it, but it sort of sounded something like this. Sounds bizarre, but we had a giraffe doing this to a leopard once. It was sitting on a termite mound. We were looking at giraffe, didn't even know that the leopard was there. And then eventually they started making this noise, a whole group of them. And my tracker then spotted the spots moving just about on the termite mound. So that was really nice. But he's going to disappear into the thicket now. I think we're going to lose this boy. But quite nice to, of course, see a giraffe fella. And there he goes into the guarri thicket and beyond. But let's go across now to Tristan. He's been driving about. I'm sure he wants to tell you what he's got planned for you next.
Well, at this stage, Tayla, I was looking for Tumba, but no sign that I can see. He must still be inside Little Gowrie, so no tracks coming towards Chitwa or towards Gowrie Main and Djuma, which is slightly disappointing. I thought he would have come maybe for water, but alas, nothing that we could find around there. Seems like he must have gone somewhere else. And maybe deeper into Little Gowrie is where he went. There is a big quarry there that's not too far away, and it goes down, and it'll probably have quite steep banks where there'll be nice shade and it'll be open sand where there won't be too many ticks or anything like that, and so that'll be a really good place for a leopard to go and lie. So he might be inside there, but unfortunately it's just inside Little Gowrie. It's just on the fringe there, and you can't actually see from the cut line inside, which is a bit of a shame. So we're just doing a little loop around, just trying to see if maybe, just maybe, Tundi is around. Unfortunately, Tingana went further into Little Gowrie and deep into Hofmann's, so he's gone quite far. Hosana's carried on in his southwesterly direction and has gone into Hofmann's as well. So I think that's the first time I've heard of Hosana in Hofmann's without Karula, which is quite interesting. And the fact that Tingana's that side too is also quite interesting. It will be quite a sort of good story to follow over the afternoon, whether or not the two of them get quite close. But probably the most exciting news of the afternoon, and something that is definitely very, very cool, is that yesterday, for the first time, a new set of cubs was seen from the sticks, which means that now all 3 sticks females have cubs, which is really, really cool. There was only one little cub that was seen. They were in a very deep, thick area, and it was closed immediately as it was seen, because the position of where it is, it's very, very, very difficult to get any vehicles anywhere near there without creating a lot of noise, and so it was decided to rather leave them. And so it means that the sticks have got new cubs, which is so cool. So they've now got the older ones that are from the first female, then they had those newer ones that we started seeing about sort of 2-3 months ago, and then we've got the newest new ones that were only seen yesterday. So hopefully there's more than the one, but it really is nice to hear that all 3 sticks females have had cubs and that they're actually doing all right. They seem to be healthy, and the sticks have done fairly well at keeping them alive. So it's really good news, and it seems like the lions are all starting to boom a little bit in terms of cubs. The Nkuhumas have done so well with theirs, and now a new one. Now, I didn't hear the name, sorry Alice, it's a little bit muffled where we are on Chitwa, so if you can repeat the name for me. So, Craig, did you hear that? Sorry, I can't hear it very nicely at all. No, not too sure either. So, I think it's bee trees, but I'm not 100% sure. You say, wow, the sticks have got new cubs, and that is amazing. Well, I couldn't agree more. It's an epic afternoon to hear that there's always new cubs around, and I love the fact that we have lion cubs. Hopefully the sticks, after they've settled down with these cubs, will be a lot more mobile again, because they've really been stuck in this area because of the number of cubs that they've had, and each female having over time. It's meant that they've been really sort of centrally located around Vessels and Nets area. Now that once those cubs sort of grow after this last little batch has been last set has come out, they get a little bit bigger, we maybe will start seeing the sticks like we used to going up towards Twin Dams, Baboon Pan, those areas, and maybe we'll get the little sticks on Djuma again. But we've got a lonely wildebeest right out in the beautiful late afternoon sunshine that stretches across this open area close to Chitwa Airstrip. And you can see a crowned lapwing making a lot of noise, and this is the perfect place for a wildebeest to come at this time of the day. It's now starting to get darker and cooler, and they know the predators are going to start moving, and so for him, he comes out into this section. It's very open, can see all the predators that might be lurking around, and therefore stay quite safe. On the other side of it is the airstrip itself is very sandy, which is perfect kind of terrain for a wildebeest to roll around and dust bathe and keep that coat in good condition and exfoliate all the dead skin cells that might be on him. So a really good place to find a lone male wildebeest, and you can see he's very interested in us. When they're on their own, they are often a lot more alert. There's no impalas around to help him out scanning for predators, and so when you've got a situation like this, you'll see he'll watch us, and he'll see, is there any little lurking threat that might be around and might have a problem that he has to look out for, so a lot more aware. But the light this afternoon coming over this area is absolutely incredible. Very, very pretty indeed. wouldn't it be nice now if we just saw Tundi strolling across this open area? And one of the most incredible sights I've seen, or in terms of a leopard hunt, was actually right where we are now. We were following Mvula, and it had been one of those times where you go through a little bit of a leopard drought, and Mvula pitched up out of nowhere, and we were following him from on the other side of Chitwa Dam. He then walked through the lodge. We couldn't find him. I eventually found him sitting on one of the decks at the lodge. He then ran up towards the office and past the office, and then started to come out up towards this way. And as we were getting onto this open area, I unfortunately got a flat tire, so we had to quickly jump out and try and change the tire. And we could see him in the distance, and there was lots of impalas in this area. And my tracker at the time said to me, "You're going to watch this leopard is going to hunt." And the guest jokingly said to us, "There's no ways, it's too open, this is a place for cheetah to hunt, not for leopards." And no sooner had the words come out that Mvula launched this attack across this open area at full speed, just like a cheetah would, and he was running at full tilt. Impalas were bouncing all over the place, and what he basically had done is he had created such panic and such a sort of situation where nobody knew what was going on that all the impalas just bounced in a different direction, and one of them ran straight at him, and he then grabbed it and pulled it down, and it was a big adult male impala, and he killed it right here just in front of this fallen over tree. And from there he then dragged it, and he was trying to drag it to one of these big marulas when a whole lot of hyenas arrived, and they came in, and there was this massive fight between the hyenas and Mvula, and eventually, unfortunately, Mvula lost his kill. As he was jumping up into the tree with the carcass, it was just too heavy and he had to drop it, and it fell down, and the hyenas grabbed it and he went up into the tree. But it was the most insane leopard hunt that I've seen. Just the sheer kind of way that he hunted, so unusual and so different to what we see from normal leopard hunts. So it'll always be a firm sort of favorite place for me. I've also seen the most incredible sightings of the Majingalans in this area, as well as cheetah chasing steenbok down the runway. So this section brings back a lot of memories, and a really kind of cool place to see the big cats, particularly in light like this. When you see it sort of getting low in the horizon, often the cats will use this western edge to hunt, because as the animals all sit on this open area and they stare back, they get blinded by the sun's in their eyes, and the cats can use that tree line to get a little bit closer. So you often find the lions here and leopards. And back in the day when there used to be a female cheetah around here, she used to hang around in this area with her cubs every now and then. So always lots of memories here. So Phil, I hope I get this right, but you want to know, why would lions be attracted to an open area, if that's how I heard it right? Now, to this area. Okay, well, the reason why, Phil, is because of the number of prey animals. So because, as I was just saying with the wildebeest, that this is a very open, clear section, that's a perfect place for prey animals to come to try and avoid being preyed upon. That means that the lions also know that they're going to come here. The lions also know that at night, even in an open section like this, they can still use it to their advantage. They can use this eastern edge or the western edge, and as the animals transition through, they can hunt from there. The other side of it is, if we have a look where we are on Chitwa Airstrip, which I'm going to show you now when we park over here, because we will get the most beautiful view of the sun sort of heading towards the horizon. So give me 2 seconds. But if we have a look at from where we are now, you've got, in every direction, we're higher than where the surrounding areas. Now that means that we're going to have a situation where any lion that roars from here is going to be pushing that sound very large distances, and a lot of the times you actually hear lions roar from here, they sound a lot closer than you think, and it's because of the height that they can get, so they can push their sound out, and that's why they'll often spend time here, as well as the fact that it is a place where a lot of prey animals will come and settle. You get a lot of zebra here, a lot of wildebeest, a lot of impala, giraffe spend a lot of time here, and in fact the one time the lions killed a giraffe over the runway, and we had to come and chase the lions off and pull it off, because we had a whole bunch of planes that were landing here that day, and so we didn't want the lions to kind of get driven over by a plane, so we had to pull it off to the side, which was quite spectacular. But that's why they use it. Also, this ground on top of the airstrip here has been compacted, and it's got a loose layer of soil on top, and means that a lot of the time when the lions chase animals here, they often slip, and I've seen it quite a few times with wildebeest, zebra and giraffe all slipping here when being chased. And luckily none of them fell, but it is a place where it does happen from time to time, and so you'll find that's why the predators like to chase on this particular runway as well. So that's the reason why you find lions and leopard and cheetah all coming into this general vicinity. But it is so beautiful up here. It's one of the best places to come late afternoon, particularly when you've got a sunset, and you can see there, as Craig's pointing out to you, the sun just kind of goes down and dips over that western horizon, and you get the most spectacular light that comes out. You can see it's just going behind a sort of bank of cloud. Now, while we bathe in this last of the spectacular afternoon light, I believe Miss McCurdy is shaking her golden locks in the golden sunshine of this afternoon.
Is this good enough, Tristan? Shaking my golden locks, but not quite in the sunlight. We'll try again. Ferg looked at me and he was so disappointed. He was like, Tayla, there's no light on your hair. We'll try again in a moment. Now, we've just come out of the hyena den, and we had a very quick look around there, but I don't think anyone's home. I wonder if they haven't perhaps moved to a different den site and are maybe using one of those dens that are just sort of west of Rebecca's Road, and we've actually walked down and checked some of them before, so that might be a plan, maybe to go down one of the 2 tracks. What we are going to do right now though,
stand up there.
yes, then I'm going to shake my hair. Where must I stand? Out the car. On my chair. I don't know if can I just go on my knees? Is that fine?
Yeah, hit that way.
Do I have to face this way? Can you see my golden locks now? Do I need to do it in slow-mo?
More golden luck there.
More golden. This is Ferg that's instructing me to do this now. Like that? I'm being positioned.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. Ferg has just said that I need to shake my golden locks, and this is okay, we're done. Thank you. Right, let's go check Treehouse Dam now. Maybe Hosanna turned around and came back. Who knows? Maybe Shongile pops out, or Shadow. Anyone along those lines, it'll be quite nice. Or maybe there's just a big elephant bull drinking from there. Now, the last fresh elephant tracks I had were going towards Treehouse Dam, but Tristan was sitting there and he would have obviously seen if there were any elephants at the dam, but what they could have been doing is just moving through the thicket. So hopefully by now it's cooled down sufficiently. Maybe they'll just be at the dam having a drink, but this is just so lovely. I think this is also one of my favorite roads for a sunset drive. Beautiful golden lighting on all the grass, and we've had some amazing elephant sightings here too, where they've come around and fed at this time of the day. But I think my ultimate spot for an afternoon, if you could have elephants as well, with marula trees and open plains, is at Chitwa, just next to the airstrip, just slightly west of the airstrip. That is so beautiful there. And you'll all remember that magnificent sighting I had of the elephants, which was one of the best elephant sightings I've actually ever had in my entire life. It was so good. I think we were there for about an hour, at least an hour. But I'm sad that we haven't found any elephants, because I believe that they were all over the property. Now we need to make a decision. Do we go down Shibamu or do we go down Savage's Track? Left or right, Ferg? Actually, I'm going to make that decision because it looks like everybody's been going on Savage's Track. Sorry, Ferg. I went and gave you an opportunity and then I just took it from you. So I want to try and drive a road that not maybe everybody has been driving this afternoon. It seems as though everyone's been flying down there. So let's just check this spot. This has been a very popular area over the last week for leopards. And like I said, it has cooled down. The sun is starting to set. This is when the cats are going to get active. Over walking through the property today, so they could potentially get on the move too and come back this side. No one's found the nkuhumas since return. Calling like that, they'll probably, and that should bring them straight this way, which will be quite nice. Okay, we'll check the pans at Shibamu, good wallowing spot. See if our warthogs had actually gone back to wallow, but they didn't. They looked like they were on their way home. Right, I'm going to send you back across to Tristan, who's still bumbling about on a Chitwa. Let's see if he's found any sign of Tandi or Tumba.
Well, yes, bumbling about. longest hair at the moment. It's still quite short, so we'll have to grow it out to be able to compete with Tayla in her shaking contest. We'll have to get Ellie involved and maybe where we're just going to chat about Jamie and Tayla to Jamie, Tayla and Ali, should I say, and maybe Brent, Leo Smith, once he's in the mar, and we get them all to shake their hair about, and we can see who's got the best head shake and who is the biggest, thickest mane. I think Ali might win in terms of the thickest, but I definitely think Tayla's got the most golden mane, so in the sunlight, hers will probably win. Now, where we're sitting right now is right on the edge of the Mulawanini drainage, and this is an area that Tundi and Tumba like to spend a lot of time, and that's why I'm here, just trying to scan around, and they often used to walk around in this area. You can hear there's a grey go-away bird calling somewhere to our left. I can't actually see where it is. It's somewhere there. Oh, there it is. I can actually see it. Hold on. Let's try and see if we can't maybe just edge 1 centimeter forward without getting the gremlins in the car. Hopefully the gremlins will behave.
Right, hello again everybody, sorry about that. Gremlins are after Tristan and myself, and it seems as though Jamie is also being attacked today. How rude of them. We're on our way towards some of these areas, little pans here, nobody drinking, not even a turtle death. I suspect we'll have some luck at Treehouse Dam, at least in the form of a species of birds that will come down and have a drink towards the edge. And we've got to drive fairly slowly around here because there's so many trees. And after we had the other day, sorry, I've just got a tickle in my throat all of a sudden. It's I can't drive here without doing this. My head is just, it's going crazy, just trying to search every single tree, checking down at the base of the trees and the long grass, on the termite mounds, all these favorite spots that leopards like to lay, and also for tracks. Also, so if there are any footprints, there'll be new ones. Okay, let's see. We're not too far now. Who have we got here? Which birds? Don't run away. There's some Crested Francolins, a whole family of them. Well, I think there were just 3 of them, unless there are a few more that are hiding away in the grass. There they are. Were you having a dust bath? Did I disturb you? They're quite quick, these birds. I don't really know how fast they can run. I know in my bird book I've tried to check if they have this, if anybody has recorded the speed of a Crested Francolin, but they're not particularly slow. I mean, when they run, you see that they often leave a dust cloud behind them. So not only can they fly to get out of danger, but they might be able to dash off just as a warthog does, very quick off of the mark. Won't necessarily be able to hold that speed for quite a long time. And then dive underneath a shrub that's got thorns to try and protect it, or just under any shrub. Just the 3 of you? Okay, I'm going to say, excuse me please, we need to get past. Let's see how long it takes for these birds to realize that they can go to the left. Oh, these ones are intelligent. Well done. The rest of your species often take a couple of minutes of just running straight down the road. Maybe we'll have to race them one day to try and figure out how fast they can exactly go. Okay, so Treehouse Dam is just up ahead. I haven't heard any cracking of the branches just yet. So I don't know if we're going to find any elephants here. I don't know where that big elephant bull has gone though. I'm sure he's probably just following the breeding herds, but we had his tracks on pangolin track, massive, and they were, again, very fresh. And it's a very sheltered road, so it could be a bit deceiving, those tracks. So, we've got another species of cat to add to our list this afternoon. Jamie has managed to find herself some lions.
Your timing could not be more perfect, because look at this wonderful surprise that we have for you. Apparently, the Angama pride, also known as the Out of Africa pride, apparently, after the area that we're in, and basically right outside our camp, 4 lionesses and 1 cub. He's listening to the calls of Mum. And I say your timing could not be more perfect because they're just about to vanish off, as the lions do here, into the long grass. I'm going to stick with them for as long as possible. So we're going to do a little bit of driving. Hey, little one. You can see the excitement in its body language as it raced off to Mum or Aunt, actually. Could be either with lions. They're equally affectionate to their cubs and the cubs of their sisters and their daughters. Oh, beautiful. In this golden light, they looked like they were made to fit into this color scheme in this grass. Oh, look at that. Beautiful screenshots. Please share them with me. I don't have time to jump out and grab pictures, and we need as many screenshots as you can of the different lions so we get to know them individually. So please send those through on #SafariLive on Twitter. Oh, goodness. Might have to break a cardinal rule here. I'm going to take a picture because we need them. We really do. Oh, goodness. I'm too slow. I'm too slow. I'm too slow. And now I've done something. Okay, come, what have they seen? 2 of the females have peeled off down further along this road. There they go. There is 1 female with young cubs, and she might be going back to the cubs in the drainage line. That's what the guides tell us. They've seen the cubs a few times. So what we're going to do is we're going to just move a little bit further forward. I know it feels a bit funny, but let's go a bit further. Try and keep up with them for as long as we can before we have to head for home. You know what? These females are going off the road into the long grass. The other female's still on the road, I hope. So I think I'm going to follow her, especially if she's the one with the cubs, although we're going to have to turn for home in the next 15 minutes or so. Oh, that's stunning. Here we go. A lion melting into the grass. Now it's starting to get dark here. Apparently it's getting dark on Djuma as well. Let's go across to Tayla, who has got a gorgeous sunset.
Not only do we have a gorgeous sunset, but we now have the beautiful grey heron who has just joined the show. How great is that? We were chatting earlier how we were missing the beautiful heron from Vuurtele Dam and Buffelshoek Dam, but there it sits perfectly silhouetted with a gorgeous golden sky behind it. That is very, very pretty. Now I wonder if this heron is just going to take a roost up here for most of the evening. Perhaps it goes down back towards the dam, towards Treehouse Dam, and maybe fishes a little bit into the night. But for now, it is just absolutely stunning. So Carter, if you're still watching, have you got a grey heron on your bird list? If not, you better add it very quickly. And you might even be able to get a nice screenshot as well. This could be a great wallpaper, I think. And it's one of my favorite things, is saddle-billed storks and any herons, or any storks really, just standing up on a dead tree like this with very little sort of interference from any of the branches. A nice clear shot. That is my best. Any bird. I'd prefer to have a leopard, but one cannot be picky. Now, Donna, you've said that this is very beautiful. It is. Oh, wow. And it is going down one last time to fish. Hello. Hopefully you catch something in there. There's been a lot of ripples on the water, so I think a combination of insects and hopefully maybe some frogs. Though I don't know if we're going to be really seeing too many frogs at this time of the year. I think a lot of them would be estivating. But maybe a few tilapia or little catfish just swimming about. I don't think I've seen a heron in this dam before, in Treehouse Dam, but moving very, very carefully. And there's Mr. or Mrs. Blacksmith Lapwing also just running behind the heron. Oh, that's nice. And a 3-banded plover. There we go. Carter, or anybody that is making a bird list, there's 3 birds for you in one picture. That was unplanned. That was nice. It's always nice when nature does amazing things like that and just run into your shot. But herons have got beautiful eyes, don't you think? Particularly the grey heron. They look to be almost red. So we're quite far away, so it is difficult to see, but I'm sure that they've almost got a red colouring to them. And I love that sort of black streak that they have. Right. Bye, heron. He's gone away now. Let's carry on. Now, Riti, you're wondering what is the biggest bird that we have at Djuma? Well, we can start with martial eagles, pretty large. The southern ground hornbills are not too far off either. They're pretty big. Occasionally, we see the Kori bustard, which is the heaviest flying bird that we see in this area. So there's quite a few contenders. The vultures also. Goliath heron, also quite tall. So, of course, it's difficult to say. It just depends, of course, what you're talking about. Wingspan, weight, height. If we see an ostrich, well, there we go. That's the tallest one, isn't it? So it's quite nice that we've got such an abundance of birds out here. I'd like to see some secretary birds. I'm always quite fond of seeing secretary birds. An ostrich, I still haven't seen an ostrich. And the northern Sabi sand, unfortunately. But yes, that's all really. Maybe we'll get to see some of them. But I suppose this afternoon the tallest bird we've seen is probably that grey heron. Also, not a particularly small wingspan. They're quite large, not very heavy. I'm not sure what their weight is actually. Maybe I'm going to guess now. Let's see how close I am. Should we? What I'll do is I'll actually open the app on my. On my phone, and but before we do, we'll guess as to how much a heron weighs. So I'm just going to find it. Let me go to H here for heron. Okay, how much do you think, Ferg? I'm not going to open the app where it will tell you how heavy they are. I'm going to go with about 3 kilograms, 2.5, 3 kilograms. What do you think? 1 kilogram. Right, let's find the grey heron. No, those are egrets. Where are you? Why are you so difficult to find? There we are. Now we need to scroll. Ooh, Ferg, you're on the money. There is about 1.5 kilograms, so that's quite nice. So that's what I'm reading just over there. So quite thought they would have weighed a little bit more, because like I said, they're not quite small. Let's see. In height, they've only got their height at 94 centimeters, less than a meter. I almost find that very hard to believe, because they're tall birds. We look at some of the pictures that they found, and you actually just see it. They're almost found all over southern Africa. There's very, very few spots where you won't find them. It's a nice fluffy one. There we go, and that's the typical heron look that you see standing in the water, and a nice close-up. Isn't that great? So these bird apps and things are always quite handy, but let me put that away now. Now, we need to try and keep moving, because we don't have anything around here at the moment. Let's go backwards. Right. So it seems as though Jamie's still with the lions in Kenya. Let's go back across to her and see if they're starting to wake up.
We are still with the lions indeed, and we're with the 2 females that split away and very conveniently kept on the road, because we can't go off-road in this particular area. And I'm hoping, I see suckle marks on that lioness. I definitely see very clear suckle marks on that lioness. I wonder if she's not the mother of the new cubs. Either way, she's definitely lactating. It might be an older set, it might be the younger set. I'm definitely going to keep following her for as long as possible. I've probably got another 5 minutes. I'm getting very far from home now. Senzo and I are going to have to take that hill at quite a speed to get up there before the gate closes. Okay, I'm just going to go slowly in case she is drinking around the corner or something. Unfamiliar animals, unfamiliar territory. Just give them a little bit of space. Where'd you go? There she is. I think it's the mum. I don't know exactly where she's denning her cubs at the moment, but we will try to keep up with her for another few minutes before we turn around. And apparently Tristan also has home in mind. He's on his way as we speak.
Well, hopefully Jamie will have some luck with that lioness and maybe it'll even hunt. Now I'm back at Twin Dams because I heard some Franklin's alarm calling, and we know that our male lion is not lying too far south of here, so I just wanted to come back quickly and just listen a little bit and just see maybe, just maybe, Mfumo might decide to come back north and come back to Djuma, but Franklin's have gone quiet now. It might have been something else that had scared them, but I thought I heard them alarm calling as we were coming through the Mulawati, and I was hoping that we were going to be greeted by this big male lion striding northwards towards us, but alas, it seems like it's all quite quiet at this stage. So I think what we're going to do is probably start making our way towards the hyena den. I'm going to try and go and see if there's any action there, because we know that the hyena den has got young ones, and it's that time of the day where it should start getting active, so I want to try and start heading in that sort of general sort of area and see, maybe, just maybe, I get lucky and the hyena den will be active and we'll be able to see those little ones, because I'm dying to see this. I really am. So James, you're wondering if whether or not the hyenas will move den sites with the lions, and James, it's a very valid point. It could be the case. This sudden increase in lion activity could very well mean that the den gets moved away, particularly because we know that already some of the male lions have walked right past that den site, so it is very probable that this could happen, where the lions have now pushed the hyenas out again, much like what we saw last winter when the Nkuhumas were here for such a long period of time. We saw a situation where the hyenas almost became non-existent here. We didn't see any hyenas. They all shifted into southern Manyeleti, and so it could be the same situation that's now taking place. I don't think the lions have spent enough time to completely push them out yet, but definitely if they keep moving around in this area and they keep going towards the den sites, then it is very possible that that could happen. So hopefully we'll end up with a situation where we get a nice balance between all of it. Now I can see Miss McCurdy in front of us. I don't even know if she knows we're behind her, but she's there just in the distance, creating a nice little dust cloud for us. And the reason why I know it's her is because I can just see a little white aerial bouncing along the road there. You can see it. Look, there's the white aerial. Shh, don't tell her that we're watching. No, she saw us. She knows. Alice, you told her. She's waving. Oh well, that's okay. Hello, Tayla. I hope you are having a nice drive, and hopefully Taylor's going to find Hosanna coming back. I have a sneaky suspicion that that's where he might be coming from, so I would definitely have gone and checked that area. Now that Taylor's there, I'm going to carry on and see what else I can find. But that would have been a good place to check, because even though Hosanna went south, you never know with him. He could just pop out again. Also, there's the chance of shadow and cub, so checking this boundary at this time of the day is always a very good thing to do. I wonder if it's not worth just checking Treehouse Dam as well one more time. So just a reminder to everybody, we are going to have some schools joining us this afternoon. It is a Monday, which means we get into our school drive schedule, and so we're going to have 3 schools joining us this afternoon, and hopefully we'll be able to find them something interesting to look at. It's been an interesting drive from the sort of beginning, and now hopefully we'll get lucky in the sort of last part and find something very cool to show all the kids. I'm sure they're very excited to see some animals, and so hopefully it will be an exciting afternoon for them, or evening should I say, because it's starting to get dark now, and so hopefully we will see them. Now I have to remember what schools they are, because normally before the school drives we practice saying the names and try and get the names right so that we can get them all. Well, this afternoon I forgot to even look at the names before we went out, so it was a little bit naughty, so I'm going to have to try and see now if I can't just remember them quickly. I know it was Garrisonville is definitely joining us, and there was so Alice is telling me Pine Arts, Garrisonville, and Betty F. Williams. There we go. Did I get that right, Alice? I think I did. Now, and thank you, Alice. Now, why I'm off-roading will become evident to all of you in a few seconds, because we seem to have found something that Tayla was looking for all afternoon, and I wonder if I've now beaten her at this challenge. She thought that we had stopped looking, but we hadn't. And inside here, somewhere in the head of us, will eventually be revealed are some big behemoths. Well, good afternoon everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to the three schools that are joining us: Garrisonville Elementary, Payne Arts and Betty F. Williams. It's lovely to have you guys with us, and I hope that you're going to have a magical time as we spend the next 45 minutes roaming the wilds of South Africa. Now, as you can see behind me, I've got a big elephant that is busy sitting and feeding, and so if you've got any questions about anything out here, including the elephants, then you can ask your teachers, and we'll try and answer as many as we can for you. Remember that there is no silly questions, so just ask away and we'll try and get through as many as possible. Now, this is a young male elephant that's by himself at the moment. I don't know if there's any more here. It's quite common to see the boy elephants by themselves, because the boy elephants, often when they get a little bit older, their mommies chase them away because they get too big and too sort of full of nonsense, and they really become a bit of a handful, and so they get told by their mommies, now it's time for you to go live on your own, and then they go and live by themselves. And he's probably, I would say, is probably about 20 years old, so he's right in the early ages. Remember, the elephants in this area will get quite old. They can live to about 55 or 60 years, which is a very long time when you think of an animal. Imagine having to look after an elephant for 60 years. It would be very, very difficult, and that's why you find that elephants are not animals that people look after very often. So, married, I think it was married, I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but you want to know what an elephant's top speed is. Well, an elephant's top speed is about 40 kilometers an hour, which is in miles. Sorry, I've got to do this calculation in my mind, and I'm not very good at maths, so hopefully all of you will pay more attention in your maths class and be better than I will be. But it's 1.6 miles to a kilometer, so it would be about, I think, 26 miles per hour, somewhere around there, is how fast they can run, which is much faster than any of us can run. So you wouldn't be able to run this elephant. He's going to be able to chase you and get you if you try to run away from him. So with elephants, what you've got to do is you've got to stand very, very still. And if you were walking around here, we're in a car now, so we don't have to worry as much. But if we were walking, we would have to stay nice and still and make sure that the elephant didn't then smell us, and we would be okay. Now, I'm not the only one out here. I have a friend that would like to say hello to you, and her name is Tayla. So let's go across to her so she can say hello.
I promise I have a face, and welcome to all the schools, but I'll show you my face in a moment. I think that this view that we have is very pretty. Beautiful big tree silhouetted against the pink and orange sky. And if you look very carefully at sunset, you're actually able to see the Drakensberg Mountains, which is one of the largest mountain ranges that we have, that runs all the way across South Africa. And they are beautiful. And at this time of the day, we often refer to them as the Blue Mountains. And you can see why. Look at them. Isn't that stunning? It's very, very hazy out here today. And hopefully, we're going to find you some animals to go with the beautiful sunset, and to go with, of course, the beautiful mountain range. Now, my name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is Fergus. And like Tristan said, we're also out driving around, hoping to find all sorts of wonderful creatures. And you've joined us at a really good time too, because this is when the cats, the lions, the leopards, even the hyenas will start to get active. So you might hear me every now and then. We might see me. I'll stop and I'll look around and try and listen, see if we can hear any of them. Now, Catherine, first question for me, you're wondering how hard is it to find animals? Well, Catherine, some days are easier than others. Sometimes you can go out on a safari and just see a couple of birds and a few antelope and no elephants or any of the big five. It happens really often. So it depends on many different things. We've had a beautiful day today. It really has been so lovely. So I think it's a good day. There's no wind. The animals don't like the wind, so it should be easier to find them. It's also been so hot, so we've been checking the watering holes to see if any of them have come down to have a drink. Now, there might still be a few herbivores. So herbivores are animals that just eat the vegetation, so leaves and grass. They might still be around. But I think what we're going to go and do now is very quickly go and check the hyena den. There's a hyena mom with some babies, so she might be out now. But I'm going to do back across to Tristan. who has got something that eats plants.
Well, we've got one of my favorite animals, and so it really is nice to catch up with this young elephant. And look what he's doing. You see how he's hitting the grass? So he knows that with the grass, when he pulls it up, there's going to be lots of sand on the roots. And now, because we're going into our winter and the grass is almost dead, all the nutrients and all the vitamins are in the roots of the grass. And so this elephant is very clever. He hits the grass against his chest, and that means he shakes off all the soil and can then swallow it, so he doesn't have to eat soil. Now, the reason why he doesn't want to eat soil is because of his teeth. He doesn't want to wear his teeth down. Anthony, you want to know how long an elephant's trunk can expand to? Well, Anthony, their trunks can't expand too much longer than what you see here. So their trunk will probably expand at the most would be about 7 feet. That's about as far as the trunk can extend from where the tusks are. So that's still a long way if you think about it. It's taller than most people, even your mommy and daddy. So it's a very long way indeed. Now, I was saying to you that he has to be careful of his teeth, and the reason why is because the teeth wear down quickly, and then he can die from that. Because at the end of the day, if he doesn't have teeth, he's not going to be able to find the food he needs and be able to eat the food to survive. Now, Mani, you want to know, do elephants live longer than people? Well, no, not anymore, because of the fact that we get medication, and so we've got antibiotics and lots of hospitals that look after us. Humans now live until late 80s, 90s, whereas the elephants really in the wild, especially in this particular area of the park where we have lots of trees, the elephants only live to about 55, 60. Some parts and in captivity where they get fed and their teeth get looked after, the elephants will be able to live as much as 90 years old. So it's similar to people, but because people have access to hospitals, we're now in a situation where the elephants don't live as long as people. Way, way, way back before we had medicine, the elephants definitely lived longer than what we did. Now you see he's coming very close to us, so it's okay if he comes close because he's just interested in who we are. So Tasha, Samantha and Catherine, you want to know how big an elephant can get. Well, I suppose you're asking about how tall an elephant can be. Well, an elephant can be around 4 meters. That's the biggest elephant. Now 4 meters in feet would be close to 12 foot high, and they can weigh a massive 16,000 pounds as a really big elephant. So that's really massive. Can you imagine having that walking close to you? It's very, very big. Now, our elephant is still just feeding right next to us. He's very, very close. So that's why I'm keeping my voice down, because I don't want to disturb him. Look how he's using his ears to hear what's going on. So he's got his ears out to listen. So we're not going to make too much noise, and we're going to send you over to... Now he's just starting to change direction. I was going to send you over to Tayla, but because he's so close, it will be really nice to have him with us. And you can see every now and then, you see, look at his ears moving. Now, I don't know if some of you know what that's for. You can remember, you can tell me through your teachers what you think he's doing when he flaps his ears like that. You'll see every now and then the ears are flapping, and you can tell me what you think. Where are you going? You can't go backwards. So Alison, you're asking me why are elephants' ears so big and what are they used for? Well, Alison, that's going to be the answer to the question that I just asked you, and that is, why do the elephants flap their ears? Now, there's 2 reasons for having big ears. I'll give you the one answer. The one answer is to hear better. Now, if you look at an elephant's ear, you see in the front here where the elephant's ear attaches to its head, there's the little hole for its ear, and so that big ear behind it, there we go, that's where the sound goes in so that they can hear. Now the big ear behind it acts like a satellite dish. Now I want you to sit there, Alison, and I want you to put your hand around your ear, so make like a cup and put it over your ear, so you can, I'll show you now, Craig, if you can show quickly what we do. So Alison, I want you to do something like this, and then listen to me talking. You're going to be able to hear me much better, because this hand is catching all the sound waves and pushing it into the ear, which means you can hear better. So that big ear helps these elephants to be able to hear much better than some of the other animals. Now, the other reason, which is why I was asking all of you, is why do elephants have big ears like this? Well, it's because they are able to cool themselves down. Now, they've got their own air conditioning system, which is quite amazing. And how that works is as the ears flapping like that, just now we saw it flapping, there's lots and lots of blood vessels and veins on the back of the ear. And as it flaps, it pulls over the wind, and the wind cools that blood down, and it makes this elephant much cooler, so he doesn't get as hot. Because remember, here in Africa, it can get very, very warm. We can sometimes have days that are 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and so an elephant needs a way to cool down its body. And it's basically how the car works. Now you can see how close he is. There's the front of the car, and there's our elephant. He's very, very close. So, Sipa, you're wondering what elephants use their tusks for? Well, the tusks are all there for two reasons. One is because they're going to defend themselves and protect themselves. We've got lions and hyenas and leopards, and these are all animals that are very dangerous to elephants, and so they need their tusks to be able to protect themselves from that. But the real reason why they have tusks, and the main reason, is to help when they're feeding. So they'll use their tusks to break branches. Let's see, maybe he's going to do it for us and we'll be able to see. Sometimes they use their trunk and then they bend the branch over their tusk, and they use the tusk to break branches. So there we go. Or they will use the tusk to dig up roots and tubers and all kinds of other things. So, Austin, you want to know whether an elephant will kill with its tusks? Well, yes, it can. If you're not careful, Austin, an elephant can be something that's very dangerous to people. And unfortunately, lots of people have been killed by elephant tusks because they get stabbed by them. And they'll use them sometimes to even fight with one another. And I've seen male elephants kill each other by stabbing each other with their tusks. So it is quite a dangerous weapon that they have. And everybody's got to be very careful. Now, the reason why it's so dangerous is because it's a very, very heavy object, the tusk, and it's basically it's almost like a rock when you pick it up. It's so heavy, and when the elephant, who weighs so much, when he pushes, there is so much pressure that it then goes into somebody or something. Now, I didn't get the name. Sorry, Alice, if you can just repeat that again for me so that I can just get the name. So, Belle, you want to know if the tusk can fall off? Well, no. The only way the tusk goes away is if it's broken. So if another elephant comes and they fight, then sometimes the tusk will break off and it will fall off. And if it breaks below or sort of above the lip line, which means where the part that we can see, then generally the tusk will carry on growing and it will just be shorter than the other one. If it breaks inside the lip, because remember, a tusk is a tooth, it's not a horn or an antler, it's a tooth that grows, and if the tusk then breaks inside where the roots are, then that root is damaged, the tusk won't grow back anymore. But it does not fall off. It only breaks if they've broken it with some sort of tree or by force, by fighting with one another. Now I'm going to sit with our elephants because it sounds like more elephants are coming, and while we do that, I believe Tayla has got her light out and is searching for eyes in the dark of the night.
Animals in the dark. Now I'm going to try and turn around over here because we have just arrived at the hyena den, but it doesn't seem like there's anybody home from what I can see. But let's just triple check, and I want to show you what a hyena den actually looks like too. Okay, are you ready? Probably going to laugh and think, what? Hyenas can't live here. I'm just going to turn my light off just a little bit. I'm not going to put this bright one on it. We'll put a warm light on it. But basically, just in front of me, that big heap of sand that you can see, that was created by the termites. Can you believe it? So little tiny termites made this massive mound, and what you're looking at is only 1/3 of it. 2/3 is actually below the surface of the earth, like an iceberg. But that big hole, that dark patch, that is a burrow that goes all the way inside the mound. Now there's a family of hyenas that are living in here. The adults don't seem to be home, but there could be some little ones inside there. But we can't stay here for too long though, because mom's not around. Right, so we're going to move away from here now. Right, let's go. Like I said, we can't stay here for too long unless there's an adult around, and the little one still might be sleeping inside. Now, KJ, you're wondering if lions are scared of hyenas? It depends. It depends how many hyenas are there versus the amount of lions. So, I'll tell you what hyenas are scared of. They're petrified of male lions. Because male lions, the boy lions, get much bigger than the girls, and they're also much bigger than the hyenas and can often kill hyenas. But female lions can also kill the hyenas. So, if you've got a big clan, so that's the word that we use to call a group of hyenas coming through and maybe wanting to steal a lion's kill, and there are more hyenas than lions, then you could have a situation where the hyenas will chase the lions away and off of their kill, especially if they've got young cubs. The lions, they don't want to get into a fight then. They'll rather run away and go and look for something else. But if there's big males around, they won't have any of that. They'll actually try and chase the hyenas off and quite quickly. So it's sort of an even match, just depending on who's got more members. Now, Kezia, you're wondering how fast can a hyena run? You know what? Hyenas can't particularly go very fast, not like how fast a lion can run. So a lion can run up to about kilometers an hour, but a hyena has got stamina. Now, stamina is very important out in the bush to be able to run for a long period of time, so they don't get tired very quickly, whereas a lion and a cheetah and a leopard run very short time. And hyenas, it's amazing how their bodies are designed, so they're sloping, so they almost look like their back legs are going to fall underneath them, and that's so that they can rock and they can keep that pace up for quite some time. So that's really cool. Tristan, however, has found himself a little elephant, and he'd like to show you.
Well, not just one little elephant, two little elephants, and it's a baby that's being pushed by its brother or sister. Look, there we go, there's the two of them playing, and that is a tiny baby. It's probably, I would say, only maybe 5 or 6 months old. It's very little. There's Mom. You can see how big Mom is in comparison to the little baby, and that little baby is still very, very small. Isn't it cute? Look at it, it's trying to smell what's going on. Now this little baby will just be starting to explore its world. So you might see it's in black and white. Now the black and white is because we're in infrared mode. Now with elephants, we don't want to shine lights on them because they don't like lights. And so now I'm trying just to use some technology to be able to see if we can't find or be able to watch these elephants in the darkness. It's amazing what technology can do, and that's why it's in black and white now and not in color. So we're seeing an infrared, and the infrared doesn't sort of hurt the elephant's eyes in any way, and it means that we can watch them without disturbing them in any way whatsoever. So very, very cool. Now that little baby is learning how to use its trunk. It doesn't know how to use its trunk yet, so it watches its mommy and tries to see how does mommy do it, and then when it sees, okay, mommy does it like this, then it tries itself. And it's going to take that baby 2 years until it's able to feed itself, and that's why it suckles from its mom for the first 2 years of its life, which is a very long time, and it takes a long time to get to know what's going on. You see, look at the trunk. Hello, little one. It's saying hello to all of us because it's putting its head up, and the reason why it's doing that is because a baby elephant will feel, what is this big object that's in our herd? I don't know what this car is, and it's seen mom try and chase things, and so that's why it does that. So Troy, you're wondering how we can tell how old an elephant is. Well, Troy, we use a lot of different things. One is the size of the elephant, so how big it is in comparison to other elephants that we've seen. Also, we look for any sign of the tusks coming out yet, how long the tusks are. Then on the forehead of the elephant, so where the sort of head is, then we try and see if there's any sinking in around the temples. Now when I talk about the temples, maybe if we have a look at the adult that's in front of us here, Craig, we'll be able to see, there we go. Now the temples are just above the eyes there. Now that's a young adult female, and so her temples haven't sunken in. But if we look at this female, look above her eyes. So you see there, it's sinking in, and it's almost like the bones, and it's getting deeper there. So that's a slightly older elephant. So that's how we'll also use that to be able to tell how old the elephants are. So there's lots of different ways of doing it, and that's just one of them. But you can see now that we're inside the herd, as long as we sit nice and still and we don't make too much noise, the elephants are very, very, very nice to us, and they won't be angry with us at all. They're all still feeding and just taking it very easy, and it's such a special thing to be with elephants, because elephants are the biggest land animal that we see in Africa. So Jordan and Sean, you want to know how much a big male elephant will weigh? Well, it will weigh close to 12,000 pounds. Well, actually, we can get bigger elephants than that. Here now, in these days, it's more around 12,000 pounds, but there can be elephants that have weighed as much as 16,000 pounds, which is very, very large. Can you imagine having to sort of try and defend yourself against that big an animal? It must be quite something to see. Right. Now, we are going to stay with our Ellies a little while longer and see if the babies come a bit closer. And while we do, let's go across to Tayla and see if she's had any luck in the dark of night.
We found an antelope, and this antelope is called a kudu. Now, we're in infrared at the moment. You may be able to see because the screen is sort of grey and white. How cool is that? So we can't put a spotlight. You know, that big flashlight that I was holding in my hand? We aren't able to shine those lights on these antelope because they're called diurnal animals. So what that means is it means that they move around and are more active during the day. So they prefer the sunlight. They also don't have a lot of rods in their eyes. So those rods are light receptors and help them see in the dark. The predators, like the lions and the leopards and the hyenas that we were talking about earlier, they've got lots of rods, and we can use the spotlight on them because the light doesn't affect them so much. So for the kudu, we have to put the infrared on, and then they just go about their day. But they feed on a variety of different things. They mainly feed on leaves, and they live in the thick vegetation here in South Africa. But sometimes when the rain has just arrived after winter, because all the grass gets eaten and most of the leaves fall off of the tree, then they'll eat the new grass sprigs, which are filled with lots and lots of different types of nutrition as well. So it's very good for them. Now, Gabriella, you're wondering if myself and the animals get ticks. Oh my goodness, Gabriella, you have absolutely no idea. Now, this kudu that we're looking at will have thousands of ticks on her body, but that's normal. If an animal doesn't have ticks on it out in the wild, then it's probably a very sick animal. Even the ticks don't want to be on an antelope or any of the different animals out here if there's something wrong with them. So it's normal, and she'll groom herself and she'll get some help from the other kudu too, because it's important. It's like when your mom plays with your hair, or your dad gives you a back scratch, something along those lines. You are improving the bond between the members of your family. So antelope will do the same thing. They might not give each other a back scratch, but they try and groom each other. Now, Ari, you're wondering how fast can antelope run? Well, Ari, there are so many different species of antelope in Africa, so it just depends. But there are lots that can run really, really, really quickly. I think a kudu probably peaks at about, I would say maybe not as quick as an impala. So I'm going to go about 60 kilometers an hour, somewhere around there. So very, very fast, much faster than what you and I can run. I think the fastest person, the speed that they run at is about 36 kilometers an hour, and that's only for 10 seconds. Now, Mani, you're wondering who are the kudu's predators? The hyenas that we were talking about, we were looking for, the lions, leopards. A cheetah would go after a little baby kudu, a kudu calf. So there's many different things out here, so they have to be very careful. And I don't know if you notice, well, you might be able to see now, is that kudu has got very, very big ears. Can you see that? So I said that they like to live in the thick vegetation. They're fairly out in the open now. So they need big ears so that they can hear the predators, because they will probably hear them before they see them. But at night, they might move out into the open areas so that they can see a silhouette of a predator coming towards them. Now, Mariah, you're wondering how big can a kudu get? It's one of the larger antelope species we get out in this area, and this is just the female. The male gets much larger, and he also has a pair of horns, beautiful spiraled horns, and there was one hanging around, so I'm waiting for him to pop out again. But they can weigh a few 100 kilograms, so much bigger than you and I, of course, but the boys are quite big. Let's go up a little bit further forward. These lot have disappeared behind the bushes. I'm just going to creep forward because the Kudu bull, the male Kudu, was just here to the right, and he had a beautiful pair of horns. So we just creep. I think I've seen him. I can see him, but he might be a little bit scared. We're just going to try and find a gap. Ferg, I think we'll get a gap if I go a little bit further forward. There's just lots of shrubs here. Look, there he is. Can you see him back there? He's quite far in. I think that's him there. Look at those horns. Look how beautiful he is. So he's still quite young though. He's not a very big kudu. He's still got a bit of growing to do, but he has got a nice set of horns. So that's how you can tell the girls from the boys with the kudu species. Like I said, the girls don't have the horns, the boys do. But they are running away from us. They're a little bit nervous at night. So I'm going to send you back across to Tristan with those very friendly elephants.
We do, and they're so playful, the little babies. They're pushing each other around, and it's all just lots of play at this time of the day. It's now because it's getting cooler and it's not so hot like it was during the middle of the day. Now it's time to play, particularly if you're a baby elephant. It's time to push each other around and have a really good game. So there you can see them kind of going off into the distance. So Anthony, you want to know how fast baby elephants grow? Well, Anthony, not too fast. Elephants take quite a while. This little baby elephant that you see right here is already probably getting close to 1.5 years old now. So it's quite old already, and they take a long time to grow because they get so big. So it's not like us as people, we grow quite fast because our general body size is not that big. So it takes a long time for an elephant to get very big. Now his mom, which is the elephant just to the left, there she is. She's probably now already about 16-17 years old, and they'll still get much bigger than that. So she's probably, this is her first baby that she's had. She will have had, it's probably around sort of 12 to 14 years old, because that's when they first start to breed. The males will only start kind of getting involved when they get a little bit older, in their mid-20s. So this is still a very small elephant and a very young elephant. They're going to get much larger and much bigger, and that's why they grow slowly, is because of how big they are. So Jeremiah, you're wondering how long is this baby's trunk? Well, the baby's trunks in general. Well, Jeremiah, it's dependent on each individual. It's like us. Everybody's got different length arms. So if you go and measure your arm with your friend, you'll see that one of you will have arms slightly longer or shorter than the other one. And it's the same with the elephants. Every elephant's trunk is slightly longer or shorter, and so, but just on average, I would say the baby elephants, their trunks must only be, when they're very small like this little baby, probably only about maybe 1.5 to 2 feet long. It's very small still, and that baby elephant will still grow, especially if it's a male. He's going to get much bigger, to the point where his trunk will be 7-8 feet long. So it's got a long way to go at this stage. I need to just try and pull that around. But look at how they're eating. Now this is the time of the day where it's best for elephants to eat, because it's now also, like I was saying, the sun has gone down, so it's nice and cool, and they don't have to worry about predators. Duncan, you want to know how many times a day will an elephant eat? Well, Duncan, they eat all day. They don't have any time of day that they stop eating, and the reason why is because elephants eat so much food. A big adult male elephant, like we were talking about earlier, he's going to be eating close to 600 pounds a day. Can you imagine trying to eat 600 pounds of food a day? It's really so much. And the females, they'll eat as much as 400 pounds a day. So they have to eat all day long to be able to get enough food to be able to feed their body. Let's also remember that elephants are very large animals, and so it takes a long time to be able to make them full, and so that's why they have to spend all day looking for food. Also, what they're eating doesn't weigh very much, so if you've gone and you pick up some grass, go outside today and try and grab a handful of grass and feel how heavy that grass is. Can you imagine now having to go and find 600 pounds of that grass, how long it's going to take you to collect that? And that's why the elephants have to feed for so long. Also, look at how well the elephants blend in. So even though the elephants are right there in the corner and you can see the ear moving, it's so difficult to see them at night. It's really very hard, and that's why you've got to be careful at night of elephants, and why people are very scared of elephants at night. So, Sean, elephants can't see in the dark. They are like us as people. When it gets dark, they battle. Their eyes are very similar to ours. Ion is their sense of smell and their sense of hearing. So they can hear very well with those big ears, and their trunk can pick up small scent, and it can be able to tell them what's going on. Is there a lion? Is there a leopard? Is there hyenas? Is there other elephants? And they'll be able to listen and smell what's going on rather than seeing what's going on. When it gets dark, the elephant's eyesight becomes just like ours, where we can't see too well at all. You can see that elephant almost looks as though it's going to start scratching itself on the tree. So, Josiah, you're wondering what animals will eat an elephant. Well, Josiah, the animals that eat elephants are pretty much only the lions. So the hyenas will try sometimes for the babies, and so will leopard. But because the babies are never on their own, they always have these big adults with them, it becomes very difficult for those animals to kill a elephant. But lions sometimes will hunt elephants, and they can do it quite well. So that's really the only one other than man. Unfortunately, people in areas of Africa where the elephants are sort of in close to communities and villages, unfortunately the elephants get killed by people. So their number one predator is people, and second behind that is lions. Now our elephants are moving away from us, and it is getting dark, and I don't want to stress them, so I'm probably going to try and leave the elephants now. We are in a bit of a thicket, and so I don't want to make too much noise around the babies, so I'm going to try and see if I can't move away from them. And while we do that, I believe Tayla's got a beautiful sky to show all of you.
We sort of do as we're driving along. That's just the last of the color in the sky. The rest is going to fade into darkness in just a moment, and you should be able to see my spotlight scanning from left to right, right to left, because I am now searching for chameleons. That's what I'm looking for, which is a really cool reptile that we get to be able to spot quite easily at night time with the spotlight. So that's what we're doing, and it is warm enough to still see chameleons even though we're in the middle of winter. Can you believe that? And today was 83. How crazy is that? I don't think many people can say, oh my goodness, winter and you're having temperatures like that. We're very lucky in this part of South Africa. So if you are wondering where we are, we're in the cage. KJ, you actually are wondering how hot it is. Well, there we go. That's a sort of average temperature, maybe dropping down to about 79 or so during the days. But the mornings are cold, the evenings are a little bit cold, but the days are quite beautiful. Alright, let's see what we've got here. These are some good trees to look for chameleons in, so I'm just going to keep spotting them, because as you can imagine, chameleons are very camouflaged. They can be quite difficult to spot, so you have to look very carefully. There's a technique behind it. You use your spotlight, you shine it on the trees, you look near the ends of the branches, and if you see a sort of silvery flash, a grey flash, you know you've probably found a chameleon. They remind had to quickly do that, and then it helps me speak a bit better. Sorry, Jeremiah, why can't I speak all of a sudden? It must be getting late. It must be near my bedtime. You're wondering why the animals don't eat me. Well, because I don't look like food to them. I actually look more like a predator. Remember, in this area, or in the whole of Africa, there were a lot of people that actually hunted these animals, so they're a little bit scared of us. They see the human figure and they run away. But we've been interacting with these animals for a very long time in these cars, and they've learned to sort of just tolerate us. So we're not food, we're completely neutral to them. But you've got to be able to read their behavior, of course, and pay attention, otherwise you can find yourself in a bit of trouble. But we're very safe in these cars. Now I'm going to send you across to Tristan, and I think we should have a competition this evening and see who can find a chameleon first.
Well, Tayla, that is a good competition, but I've got to try and find my way out of this thicket and find the road again, because until then, I'm not going to be able to search. Now, our elephants are just moving onto our left-hand side here, and I don't want to make them upset by going too close to them and making too many trees break, so I'm trying to find a way around them that allows me to get back to where the road is, so that I can start looking for our chameleons and try and see if we can't find them here somewhere. So I'm just trying to head towards the road, but I think I found a nice gap now. There we go, Craig. I think we're okay. Now, Craig, of course, is on camera. So Cassia, you want to know what it's like to be a ranger. But before we get into that, can you hear with this big noise above me? Isn't that amazing? So those are insects that are making that sound, and they're called cicadas. Now the cicadas are rubbing their legs against their body. So basically, if this is their body, they have a little organ inside there covered by skin, and that acts like a drum. And they take their leg and they go like this, and it causes the sound that we're hearing now to come out so that they can attract a mate and attract one another. It really is quite amazing. So one of the others will hear it, and then we'll come close. And it's one of those sounds that we will stop hearing as we go into winter, because all the insects are going to start going into sleep because of the darkness and the cold that's coming our way. So that's really cool to hear. It's deafening. Now, back to the question about what it's like to be a ranger. Well, it's the best job in the whole world. I love being out here. It's so nice to be out in the wild and to see all these big, beautiful animals, and to be able to spend my day out in the sunshine and not be in an office is really very, very special. And then to be able to watch all these beautiful big animals as they go about their day is very, very special indeed. So I love being a ranger and love being out here. It's a job that is quite tough sometimes because it's lots of long hours and you have to get up very early in the morning. Sometimes we have to get up at 3:30 in the morning, so it's very, 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 very early and sometimes late to bed. So it's long hours, but it is a very cool job, and we have a lot of fun being rangers, and we get to see all these amazing things. Right, now Alice, if you can repeat the name for me again, because I've not heard it because I was talking to it. So TJ, I think it was, you want to know if any rangers have been hurt. So rangers have been hurt by a lot of different animals. Craig has spotted something for us. Let's see if we can find it. Craig, where is it? There, Craig, well done. And there's another one. Okay, let's see. Now there's two very cool animals that Craig has spotted for us. Now they're just here in the bush, and I'm going to try see if we can't find their eyes. There, Craig, they're on this side. Now, there it goes. Can you see it there, Craig? It's there on those trees in the background. There. Do you guys see the eyes? They're busy jumping. There. Where did it go now? There we go. So these are called bush babies. Now, bush babies are like monkeys that come out at night, but they've got legs that they're able to jump very, very far and are able to move very fast, and they're difficult animals to see, and poor Craig is trying to keep up with them. But can you see them jumping? Oh, it's jumped there, Craig. It's to the left now. You can see they move very quickly. They almost got legs like trampolines, and so as you jump on them, they kind of explode away, and that's how it is. Now, they're just inside that little thicket, Craig, so somewhere in there I can just see their eyes, maybe a little bit to the left, Craig, and up a bit, somewhere there I can see their eyes blinking. So Aaron, you're wondering if I sleep when I'm doing my job. Well, yes, I do. Normally we try and sleep at night. So when we go to kind of after the game drive now, then we go and we have our dinner, and then we try and get some sleep because we have to be up nice and early. There it is again. I can just see the eyes, Craig. It's going to be very difficult to see it. But our bush baby is jumping up and down there, and they've got big eyes, and that's how we're able to spot them, because their eyes reflect the light back at us. But unfortunately they're very far away, so it's difficult for the camera to see them. But I'm hoping that you saw the little movement of them jumping around, because every now and then they were jumping across, and the elephants obviously disturbed them and chased them out of this thicket, because the elephants are all around us at this stage. So I'm going to try and not shine on our elephants, because we don't want to blind them in any way. There we go, we passed our elephants now, which is good. And we're going to try and see if we can't find our chameleon. But getting back to rangers being killed, that does sometimes happen because we have lots of dangerous animals out here. So things like the elephants, lions, leopards, they're all very dangerous to people. So there have been a lot of people, unfortunately, that have been hurt by them. Right, now let's get away from bad things and being hurt by wild animals, and let's see what Tayla's got, because she's now gone into infrared mode.
We are in infrared. Look how cool this is. So we came out of infrared after the kudu and we found a scrub hare. Now, scrub hares don't like the light so much, even though they are more nocturnal, so nighttime creatures. But he doesn't mind us at all when we've got the infrared on, because he can't really see us. They can't see that infrared light very well. But this is not a bunny, in case you're all shouting, bunny, 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 or rabbit. They are very different, the hares from rabbits. Now, you can see straight away, look how long those front legs are. And as well as those very long front legs, they've got very powerful hindquarters too, so they can run very fast. Whereas the rabbits tend to hop around. Also, look how big those ears are. And you can see he's listening, making sure that there's no owls or jackals or hyenas, leopards and lions trying to sneak up to him to eat him. And he's just munching on some grass now. So they hide away during the day. They also don't dig burrows underneath the ground like rabbits do. They live on top of the ground. Now, Brynna, you're wondering how long we're out on... Bryn, sorry. You were wondering how long we're out on safari for. Well, it depends. Normally we're out for about, I would say, including doing the pre-show, it's about 7 hours a day, sometimes even a little bit longer. But it's quite a bit of time that we spend in the bush, which is really nice. I know a lot of you will be very jealous. It's not really a job, is it, that I get to come on safari every single day, twice a day. It's the best job in the world, that I can tell you. And being able to see so many different animals. I think the most interesting thing that we do is learning the different types of behaviors of the animals, because there's very few people that get to do what we do. Now, Tristan was telling you about being a guide, but what we do is a little bit different. Now, KJ, you're wondering how fast can a scrub hare run? I have absolutely no idea. Pretty quick, though. They can move quite far, quite quickly, and they can also run for a long time too. I've actually watched a jackal try and chase a scrub hare once, and I have to tell you, the scrub hare won. It outmaneuvered the jackal, which is like a little fox, if I had to describe it to you in a way that you might know. But they can move very quickly. Now, Anthony, you're wondering why their eyes glow. So what we're looking at now, this is called the tapetum flash. So there's a membrane. It's a very long word, so I'm not going to bore you with it. There's a membrane in the eye, and basically all this light is just reflecting back at us. Not all animal eyes do this. Out of the big five, an animal, the rhinoceros, is the only one that's eyes don't reflect like this. So it's lacking that membrane. But it's very, very cool. So that's what we use to try and spot animals. Is even with my spotlight, they reflect different colors. Now, there's a big story about predators' eyes flashing red if you shine a light on them. This is not true. What happens is, like I said, it just depends on the different angle, but sometimes their eyes shine green, sometimes they shine blue or yellow or green and red, and all the different colors of the rainbow, just about. But this one in infrared, well, it just looks like it's white. But he's very relaxed. Now, oh, I'm so sorry. Can I have that name again? Tamia. And you're wondering how long do hares live for? I would say a couple of years. Maybe not more than about 5 years or so. Maybe a little bit longer. Out here in the bush, they don't live for very long. There's lots of different things that will like to eat scrub hares. Like I said, owls and hyenas and jackals. So they are the bottom of the prey species, if I can say that. There's lots of other smaller things, other smaller mammals than just a scrub hare. But when you're out in the open like this in the pitch darkness, you can be spotted and you can be snatched up quite easily. Now, Windy, you're wondering if they can see in the dark. They most certainly can. I can't even see where the scrub hare is sitting. The only reason that I know it's there is because of the monitor that we have next to us, and I have to look at that. But if I had to try and spot that scrub hare on the row right now with my eyes, I can't see it. But that scrub hare knows that we're here. So most of the animals can see much better at night than what we can. Now, Duncan, you're wondering what a scrub hare eats? All that grass that's on the ground in front of it, that's what they're mainly feeding on. So at this time of the year, it is quite cool. There is lots and lots of food around for them. Right, let's carry on. Little scrub hare, I'm going to have to ask you to move out the way now, because we want to continue driving. Let's keep going. Off it runs, running straight out of the road. Let's see, maybe we get lucky and we find a chameleon or something on these trees. I know we don't have too much time left, but I'm feeling very, very lucky this evening.
Now, unfortunately, Tayla has lost signal, and so we are going to be saying goodbye to all of you. It's been an absolute pleasure having all of you with us today, especially the schools. I hope you had a wonderful time this evening and that you enjoyed your time with the elephants and the scrub hares and the beautiful sunset that Tayla showed you. From Tayla and Ferg, myself and Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure taking you out on Game Drive, and we'll see you all on tomorrow's Sunrise Safari.